boy, do I not want to be making this video, but this is a bit of a crazy story, so I thought I'd at least share what's been going on. So, as the title of the video might suggest, my launch era Switch seems to have died on me. This happened on December 26th of 2023, and the lead up to it is basically I had taken my Switch with me on travel, I guess, and went to play it and, noticed, hey, it hasn't been plugged in for a little while. It's on 2% battery. Let me go plug it in to charge it. And then I go to boot into Pokemon Violet, at which point the screen just goes black. It doesn't respond. I try to turn it back on. Nothing. Try to use a different power cable. Nothing. Try to do a whole bunch of things. I try to put it in the dock to see if that'll maybe spring it to life, and still nothing. Ultimately, what I end up doing is going to Google and looking up some different troubleshooting instructions. Nintendo actually provides their own list of things you should do. And so I try to essentially power cycle the system, and even that doesn't seem to do anything. It's still completely unresponsive. And so I'm like, what's going on? So a little more searching. Some people say that sometimes it just gets to a super low battery state that it just won't respond at all and maybe needs to charge overnight. So I leave it plugged in overnight. Still nothing. One of the things I noticed as I was using this is that, hey, I'm using a bit of an unorthodox charger. I have basically an aftermarket charger that I bought after I had lost my, I guess, original charger. This was a separate charger I bought so I didn't have to keep plugging and unplugging the dock. And that seems to be something that people have pointed out causes an issue. So I'm like, okay, let me just take it home, try to use my original charger that came with my Switch that was built by Nintendo and see if that works. Plug it in, still nothing. Okay, let me leave this overnight and see if it springs back to life. Try that, still nothing. Flash forward a couple days, I am back in my apartment, and I decide to go take it to essentially a repair shop to have it looked at. Because it's like, at this point, there seems to be something wrong with it that's a bit deeper than anything I can do without opening it. I actually originally intended to just try to open it and pull the battery until I found out the battery is basically buried at the same level as the motherboard, and it's like, I'm not gonna do that. So I take it in. They say, okay, we'll, run a diagnostic and get back to you in a couple days. Flash forward to the next day, and around noon on this would be now the 29th, a Friday, I receive a call that ends up being from the repair shop, and they say they've gotten a chance to look at it. They have tried replacing the battery. They've tried looking at the charging port. They've tried even looking at the power switch. Nothing. And so at this point, what they're saying is that it seems to be the power control chip, which is interesting because a few things I was reading online as I was looking into this problem mention that aftermarket chargers and docks have a tendency to sometimes essentially brick your Switch because it can fry that particular chip. So I tell the repair shop, okay, yeah, go ahead, replace the chip. It's going to total to about $120, $130 to get this little chip that is really tiny replaced. I mean, most of that cost is going to be the labor in terms of getting the original chip unsoldered and soldered back in, which, yeah, not a repair I want to do given my last attempt at soldering didn't go perfectly as planned. Either way, though, currently I'm basically just waiting for the part to get in so they can take a look at it. So hopefully some point in the first week of January, that'll be brought back to life. In the meantime, I have sort of bitten the bullet and went and got myself a new Switch, which has allowed me to at least continue playing most of my games. And the problem is that most is a bit of an issue. So for those of you who are unaware, the cloud save feature of Nintendo Online is not fully compatible with Nintendo's entire library. There are a certain subset of games that have decided to not support the system. Most notable of that is every Switch Pokemon game, and I can understand the reasoning as to why they don't want to support cloud saving, because it enables really, really easy cloning of Pokemon, and that's something they seem to be trying to crack down on. It's also funny that they're trying to use this as a means to crack down on cloning, and almost every game that has come out recently has had some sort of duplication glitch that had to be patched out. But I digress. The other games that I might lose if this Switch doesn't get revived is Splatoon 2 and Animal Crossing New Horizons, which I'm a little less concerned about. But the Pokemon ones are a little bit more important, given that there's stuff dating back to Gen 5, even Gen 4 and 3 that I've had for a long time that are currently in my Violet save file. It's like, I really would like to get these back. But that has sort of led me to think, is there any way that you could support some sort of cloud save backup system with the Pokemon games that doesn't create an easy exploit for cloning? And that's sort of just where I've been stuck. I mean, I guess one way would be to make it so that it's a limited download frequency, but even then, that still can create one clone per period of time. Other than that, the only other things I can think of is something similar to New Horizons backup system that it had built in, but even then, there's almost no way to resolve some sort of way to restore a lost save file due to a dead switch, with the fact that doing so probably opens up an exploit to clone Pokemon. I'm also not a major InfoSec guy, so it's not 100% in my wheelhouse to say exactly how all of that would work. I'm just sort of spitballing things. As you can probably tell, this video has absolutely no script. I just felt like this is a story worth sharing, and my hope is within a week or two, my Switch will be back to life and I can make a follow-up video where I'm going to probably go into a bit more depth as to what exactly went wrong, and maybe even some of the technical specifics of why the Switch charging system is so vulnerable to being bricked by aftermarket chargers, because that's a really interesting topic in and of itself to look at. But yeah, this is where I currently am. I am going to be out probably almost $500, $600 from this. From the new Switch, which was $400 because I got the bundle that had the SD card and the membership for Nintendo Online that I don't need. And then $130 for the repair. So this is been an expensive mistake. That aftermarket charger, in case you're wondering, is currently in the dumpster because I am never going to use it again after this. And with that, I think I'm going to just end things off, and hopefully you hear from me soon with better news.